When you are starting a new job, there is something that if you do this thing, you are going to drive your boss crazy. It is not going to be a great first impression. It's not going to be the way you want to start things off. So I want to make sure we take care of this, that you know today, hey, I have to do this starting day one throughout my first week, month, etc. till the end of time to impress my boss. Any guesses what it is? Also, if my hair looks like a marshmallow, I really don't know what to tell you. I can't tell in this screen, but it's doing weird things today, and it is what it is. Some of us have those days, right? Not just me. Okay, if we haven't met, my name is Cassandra. I'm a career strategist and speaker. I help people go from hating work to happy work. So not just finding the job, but loving the job and getting promoted. So to do that, you need to start by having a great first impression. And there is this thing that I hear talked about on podcasts, I hear talked about anecdotally with friends, that has driven me crazy. That is actually one of the things I would train my interns on starting day one. And that is, yes, you are being trained. And yes, you should ask questions, but can you find the answer for yourself before asking the question? Don't ask a question that you can Google the answer to. Don't ask a question that I went over full training of that thing the day before and you just didn't go back and look at your notes, or you didn't take notes to go look at, and so you're asking me again. I don't know about you, but I've had that coworker before too who, this is gonna age me, but like we switched from Lotus Notes to Microsoft Outlook when I was at a company. And I will admit, like, it was the print button or the attachment button was like buried at the time. And I had this coworker who go, oh, I can't figure out where the attachment is. And she'd ask me, and then I'd come show her and I'd do it for her. And then she'd come ask me again, like 2 days later. It was like, write it down. So the big takeaway is don't ask a question that you could find the answer to yourself. Now let's go into this deeper, because that seems real obvious, and I know I'm gonna get pushback on this video. There are times where you are allowed to ask questions, y'all. But here's how you should go through it. Okay, write down everything that is said when you are trained. I am telling you, even if there is a manual, even if there is a Notion board set up, or a whole portion of the company website with every document you think you need, or a drive folder, it's not being said in your wording, and it's probably not being said in the exact vernacular of the person who's training you. And so number one, taking notes is going to help you remember it. But number two, you can go back and look at that and remember how to do it more from the process you went through in learning it. Let's say they set you at a computer and go, watch these 18 training manuals and read this manual and we'll come back later. That's fine, but still take notes. Take notes so that you are not gonna remember everything, right? You're not gonna remember everything I tell you in this video. So I just think it's crazy when people don't take notes. If you could see my desk, I take notes all the live long day. So even if it's training videos, even if they have a worksheet at the end that has the notes, take notes so that you can remember for yourself what is being said, and then you can refer back to that later. This is important too, even if you are in a group. So let's say you are watching this video because you are starting an internship and there are gonna be 5 new interns and you're all being trained together. I guarantee a bunch of them are not going to take notes, and you're gonna feel kind of silly. Hold on. You're gonna feel kind of silly being there with your notepad and pen taking notes. Here's what you need to remember. We do not care what those other interns think. We care what our supervisor thinks. And your supervisor is gonna go, thank you for taking notes. They may not verbally say it out loud, but on the inside they're going, oh, I really like him. He's taking notes. So make sure you are taking notes even if others are not. I'll be honest, even when I was coaching college students and they'd come in my office and be like, what do I do with my life? And I'd start giving them advice and they'd just sit there and listen. I'm like, are you gonna write any of this down? Like, make the most of this time. You're not gonna remember everything that is said right now. So make sure you are taking notes on what's being said, because honestly, for the person giving the advice, after a while, it kind of feels like I'm kind of wasting my breath because there's no way you're retaining all of this and you're not showing me it's important to you by writing it down. That is the truth. You might think I'm a jerk right now, but I'm telling you what other people will not tell you in this moment. When you do that, when you have a meeting with someone and they're giving you information, they're giving you advice, etc., and you don't write it down, they're like, I don't know if this was really worth it. This person isn't really paying attention to what I'm saying. So take notes, 1, because it's going to help you remember, 2, because you're going to be able to go back and look at it later, and 3, because it's going to signal to the person training you, I care about what you're telling me. I care about doing a good job in this job. And so you're signaling to them, I'm ready to be successful from day 1. Okay, so the next thing that can help you that you don't have to keep going to ask questions to your boss is those notes that they gave you, or take those notes that you made, take the system, and make your own checklist. When I started at my career coaching job at a university, every day someone would come in and meet with me and train me on the steps of like how to reserve a room on campus, or the full process of putting on an info session, which has many parts. You have to send out emails to students, you have to reserve your room on campus, you have to create a flyer, you have to, all these different things. So I took all those pieces and set aside like 45 minutes and put them all in one document, one checklist. And so the next time I had my first info session, it was so much easier because I just went, I'm gonna print that checklist, and I could go through it, and it was meticulous, like find a date, make sure it doesn't conflict with this, this, and this. I'd find my date. And then I would go on to the next step. Ask the library for a room, right? Whatever it was. And I would just keep going through the steps, but there was no way I was going to remember all of that information without the checklist. There was no way I was going to remember, oh yeah, at the end of this step, if they had been piecemealed, like at the end of this step, now I need to go do this step. So having it all together really helps. So making your own systems and processes is going to help you, A, remember the job better, and just speed up your workflow down the road. So yes, that first time, those first 3 times, those first 10 times, you're doing this thing without asking someone, it is going to take you a little longer, but it's only taking you a little longer. It's not interrupting their day too, and now taking both of you off task. And the more you do it, the faster it's gonna be. Also, similar to like half your studying for an exam back in the day came from creating the study guide, creating these processes, spreadsheets, checklists, whatever it is that helps you, that is going to be a huge part of helping you remember how to do things so that you don't have to ask your supervisor. Okay, so this next tip to help you not be the over question asker in the office is before asking a question, exhaust your resources. So let's say somebody asks you to do something and you don't understand what they're asking you, you don't know where this document is, you don't know how to find this file, etc. Did they give you a company handbook at the beginning? Did they give you a training manual or give you a place digitally where everything is, right? And it's got like a Google Drive with files on files on files, or links on links on links on a website? Go through and check that. Just see, can you look at these things? Can you Google it, right? Can you Google how to do something so that you have more context? You still might have to go ask the question, but at least you're now gonna have more context to it to be able to say, hey, I looked in the database for this, I didn't find it, or I Googled how to do da-da-da-da-da, and I know I need to do these 3 steps, but do you want me to also, or is that the way we do it here? Like, it's an informed question instead of just, I don't know how to do it, will you teach me? So exhaust your resources first so that when you have to ask, at least you've shown you've made an effort. Which goes to the next step. Just try. Now, some caveats on this. Don't try something with a client that could make the client leave you, right? Don't make someone your guinea pig. But let's say you're supposed to draft some sort of document. Give it a stab. Give it a good old-fashioned college try. Use the other steps, exhaust your resources, Google how to do the thing, see what should go into this kind of document, and then just give it your best effort, because oftentimes you need to show that making the effort is all they want. They don't need it to be perfect. They expect to put their hands on the document. Like, let's say if it is something like drafting a document. They're not expecting a perfect document. They just don't want to stare at a blank page. So they want you to start creating something and then they can finesse it, right? Or they want it's easier to start from something than nothing. So they don't expect perfection, and that's something to really understand. But also just the idea of, hey, I put forth an effort. I tried on this. Let me have you check it before I go send it to anybody, before I do the next step with it. But showing that you made that effort is gonna go a long way in impressing your boss. Honestly too, once you show them that document, flyer, draft of whatever, and you say, hey, let me know what changes you want on this, they might be able to then see for themselves, oh shoot, I should have trained them better on this. Like, they don't know how to do this. That's not your fault, that's their fault. And they'll go, we need some more training on it. So it's gonna make them more aware of the gaps that they need to fill in. So by using these tips, by taking notes, creating your own systems, processes, etc., using all your resources first, and then just trying it, you are going to show them, hey, I am a self-reliant, adaptable, reliable employee. You can count on me. I am a learner. I'm going to try my best at this job. And like I said, now when you ask questions, they're going to be thoughtful questions. They're going to be inquisitive questions. They're not going to be, where's that file that you could have looked up yourself? So really, this is such a simple step. I'm not trying to scare anyone away from asking questions, but just go through these pieces first to make sure that you have exhausted all your resources and that you really need to ask the question. And then your supervisor, your trainer, etc., will be so much more invested in you. They'll be so much more pleased with your work, and you will give a great first impression. And again, if you're in a group, don't worry if those other people are taking notes or not. So if this was helpful, give this video a thumbs up. And if you need more help on how to get promoted, how to do well in your job, I have another video for you right here. I'll see you over there and see you in the next one. Bye.